Hey guys, today we are continuing our conversation from last week and talking a little bit about why CrossFit works, why the workouts look the way they do, and why this methodology exactly. So a lot of what's at the core of why is to develop well-rounded athletes that are proficient across a whole bunch of different data points. We touched on that with the Hopper model last time. Now we're going to get a little bit more technical and we're going to talk about some metabolic pathways. I know, really exciting, exactly what you wanted to hear about, but we're going to keep it simple. We're going to keep it relevant to your training as well. But essentially, metabolic pathways are how our bodies produce and use energy. And there are three big ones: phosphagen, glycolytic, and oxidative. What we want to be able to do is use all three of these to accomplish tasks. And these are all used for different things. They're time dependent. So phosphagen pathway is your really short-term energy pathway. It's for 10-second efforts or less, really short, but huge power outputs. Think about doing a 100-meter sprint or a 1-rep max back squat, doing a max effort box jump. Something like that is going to fall into the phosphagen pathway. The next one, the glycolytic, that's up to a couple minutes of effort. So still pretty high power output, but not quite what we're expecting when we are tapping into the phosphagen pathway. Think about your interval workouts where you're doing a minute of work, a minute of rest, maybe a partner workout where you are switching, or even something we did recently with 400-meter runs and a 2-minute rest between, and we did that for several rounds. That's hitting that glycolytic pathway. The last one, oxidative, is a couple minutes all the way up to really long term. So think even like a 5K run. That's more your oxidative pathway where we are producing lower power over a much longer sustained period. And the idea is having the ability to tap into all three of these. So as I'm discussing what these three pathways are, maybe you're thinking a little bit about yourself and where your strengths may lie, or someone else in the gym. Maybe they are known as an engine, but they don't have quite that top end power, or maybe it's the flip of that. They have a little bit more of the power, but those long 20-minute AMRAPs are a bit more difficult. And this is what we're shooting for, is becoming proficient across all three, being able to use all three pathways to accomplish whatever that workout is for the day, because the more areas where we are proficient, the greater our fitness will be. That's the end game. So if we go back to the example I used last time of the marathon runner, the power lifter, and the CrossFitter, and we start pulling exercises out of the hat like a 5K run, we know how we expect that to end up. Depending on what the power lifter does for conditioning, they may gas out in the first 200 meters. But we know the CrossFitter is going to be able to at least complete it. We know the marathon runner is probably going to be the fastest there. If we go to the other end of the spectrum and we look at something that's a short power output, it's entirely possible that we could grab a random group of marathon runners and they can't jump on a 20-inch box or a 24-inch box. Maybe they don't have the ability to tap into that phosphagen pathway. We also know how it would play out if we added some weightlifting. Are they going to have the ability to set a really good 1-rep max back squat? Maybe, maybe not. But that's the idea behind this training, and that's why CrossFit differs a little bit from your traditional approaches. Traditional fitness approaches will really bias one of these pathways. If you're a runner, you run, and you're constantly training that oxidative pathway. If you're a power lifter, you lift, and you are going to be really, really heavy on the phosphagen pathway. Our plan is to kind of blur those lines a little bit and be good at all three. But that is the way of CrossFit. That is why the workouts look the way they do. And that's why you'll hear us talk about stimulus in some of the workouts. Missing the stimulus may mean that you are not training the intended pathway of that day. If it's an AMRAP, but you're having to rest for 30 seconds after every single round that you do, maybe we're missing the mark for that day. So just something to keep in mind when you are looking at workouts and why the programming looks the way it does. But if you have questions on this, don't hesitate to ask. Also, like I asked for last time, if you have suggestions for topics, things you want to hear about or learn about, drop them in the comments and I'll get to them. Thanks, guys.